listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
Well, that might be a first. We're actually early today. I don't know what to tell some of you people. I don't know what to tell some people who don't understand or don't really possess the ability to separate emotion from logic. All right, so obviously I'm going to start with the GENO SMITH stuff. Yeah, I know Geno's back. All right, cue the punchlines. All right, Jets were a national joke. I understand this. When was the last? It's a very simple question. Maybe the easiest question that I've asked you ever in the history, the short history thus far. BT Unleashed here. Who was the last Jets quarterback? And we're not going to count Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers was jacked up. But even if you want to count Aaron, that's fine. But I'm going to say for the sake of this, besides Aaron Rodgers, not counting him, what Jet quarterback in the last, and I'll tell you the years actually in a moment, in the X amount of years was actually better than GENO SMITH? Could somebody please answer that? Somebody just raise your hand and please give me the answer that is the only answer that is applicable here. And the answer really in the last 10 years is nobody. Like, that's what I don't understand about this, guys. There's three types. Well, there's a lot of different types of people in the world, unfortunately. But to me, in terms of processing like sports debate or just debates in general, to me, there's basically three types of people. There's the one person who is solely driven through emotion. And a lot of times that's misleading and it's counterproductive. But there's the person driven through emotion. And then the other person is driven primarily or solely through pragmatism. Now, that's probably more of a better, more effective roadmap to get to where you want to get because you're dealing in objectivity and factual-based stuff. To me, I kind of like the third column. I like to be emotional, and I like to apply logic when it's required here. And it is required here. I don't know who, I'm talking to the Jet fans out there that don't like the Geno move or anybody that's not a Jets fan that's shitting all over the move. Can somebody please identify to me the quarterback just for this year, all right? I'm not talking about Ty Simpson. I'm not talking about the 3 first-round picks for 2027. For the 2026 NFL season, can you please identify where the better option was? I'll wait. I mean, I'll literally wait all day because there isn't one. But I get it. Let me get online and let me get the clickety, click, clack, click, click. Let me hit the click sphere and let me just throw the jokes and let me rail on the Jets. I can't help it if you don't know football. I can't help you. Like, I honestly can't help you. So all you need to know about this, honestly, is that the Jets swapped a 7th-round pick for a 6th-round pick, all right? And in the process, they're getting a veteran quarterback who's actually a lot better than you think, and I'll get into that in a minute. But they are paying him $3.1 million, all right? Because they, as a result of making the trade, they basically got the Raiders to pay for most of it. So the Raiders are on the hook. Oh, well, why did you trade for him? Oh, my God, what a dumb move by Darren Muji. Why would the Jets make a trade? The league calendar starts today. You could have waited till 4:01. They would have cut him. Yes, you could have waited for that point, but then you would have had 3 or 4 other teams trying to get GENO SMITH, and there's no guarantee that you get GENO SMITH. Listen, guys, please understand this. This is not about, I promise, this is not about Geno elevating the Jets to some unrealistic level. It's not about that at all. But you know what it is about, aside from getting much more competent quarterback play than we've watched in a long time, outside of snippets of Aaron Rodgers. Really, the last time, I'll clearly identify it for you, the last time somebody was either as good as Geno or better than Geno was Ryan Fitzpatrick in the 2015 season when the Jets won 10 games and lost that finale up in Buffalo. I read the names yesterday, and it's funny. I had Donnie on. Don was great. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. Don LeGreg was money. If you guys missed it, go find it. Library here on the YouTube channel, BT Unleashed. So I was going through all the different jokes of quarterbacks that the Jets have run out. All right, for a while here. Since Geno left, basically. You're talking about Josh McCown. You're talking about Bryce Petty. You talk about young Darnold, and we know how that worked out. But you talk about Luke Falk. You talk about Trevor Siemian. You're talking about washed up and washed out Joe Flacco, scrub Zach Wilson, Mike White, Timmy Boyle. I know I said he could spin it. He couldn't. A hobbled Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, who can't throw a lick, Tyrod Taylor, who's a competent backup, and Brady Cook, who probably is the worst quarterback that I've ever seen. And that's saying something. I'm not saying that the young man can't, maybe carve out a little bit of a career. I'm not trying to, shred the kid, but he was woeful last year. It is cheap. It is a short-term deal. And by the way, he's incredibly accurate. I don't know what you were expecting. You know what I mean? Like, to me, the expectation, I've talked about a lot of things, right? But to me, and forget about the Jets, just general sports commentary, really life, right? You hear a lot of people say, oh, man, this guy's got a lot of pressure. And then, like, if he misses the free throws or if he doesn't have a good game, nothing really happens. So I push back on that because, to me, pressure is when there is a tangible bad result if you don't get it done, right? If you don't get it done. And I think, like, a good example of that would be, hey, listen, there's pressure on St. John's, their first NCAA tournament game, because if you don't win, you're out. Like, there's a finality to it, right? So I think that that's kind of been misapplied over the years. And I also think that anger, all right, and vitriol in the sporting sense has been completely hijacked and very much misguided over the years, because to be angry at something, I mean angry, I don't mean you saying, well, you don't love Geno. And by the way, I'm fairly apathetic to it. I mean, I know he's better than what they've had, but I'm not popping champagne. But the anger, what is the anger rooted in? Again, I'm waiting for answers. Text, chats, J-Rod, somebody give me an answer. Like, the only reason that you should be angry at this, angered and angry, is if you can tangibly point to a better option. Because then you could say, I'm pissed off at the Jets because this guy was available and they didn't make a move for him and they didn't get him. And all right, so you want to tell me, well, maybe you're angry because the Jets didn't make a real play for Malik Willis. Okay, I'm okay. I can hear that for a little bit. I'm not trying to shred everything that you're saying, but Malik Willis, he's got $35 million a year. He's played 10 games. We don't even know if he could play. I like him, and I was intrigued by the notion of the Jets maybe pursuing him, but no guarantee, and it's a massive long-term commitment. All right, so you're mad what? That the Jets didn't get Carson Wentz? They might still get Carson Wentz. I don't understand the anger. I just don't. There comes a point, guys, before the Jets could become, like, really good, they've actually got to become somewhat competent. And I am a firm believer, like I staunchly believe, that you've got to raise the floor. I know that that's a cliche and it's a tired expression. Oh, the floor is here, the ceiling, but it matters here. Like, to take the next step and cross the bridge into the competitive waters of the NFL, you've got to at least be functional. You have to be. And guys like Garrett Wilson and guys like Breece Hall and some of those big dogs on the offensive line who are really, really good, like, they deserve a chance to have a chance to win. Mason Taylor's a young receiver. Let me ask you this. Mason Taylor runs a 9-yard stick route. Who do you feel better throwing the ball? One of the guys that I just mentioned or GENO Smith? I can promise you that Geno's going to put it on his hands. He's going to put it on his hands. And if you don't believe me, let's get this up, J-Rod. Would you please just look at these numbers? Like, if you don't like my tone, if you don't like my opinion, if you don't like my take, these are irrefutable, hardcore, mathematical numbers. Now, to be fair, I did omit 2025 because it was an absolute circus. Chip Kelly was his OC, whacked halfway through the year. Raiders offensive line, by almost every respected outlet that measures offensive line play, both in, like, win rate on the pass, win rate on the run, all those things that matter, dead last in the NFL. And, oh yeah, by the way, like the Jets, also a horrendous dysfunctional franchise. So I don't want to say that it doesn't matter at all, but even his numbers last year, which I'll get to, were far better than anything that anybody on the Jets did a year ago. So, guys, you're looking at a quarterback that has not even been average. A lot of these years, he's been above average. Now, he's not coming here and throwing 30 touchdowns, but the number that you need to focus on is the second one, the completion percentage, and really the third and the fourth, if you want to marry that, and the touchdown to pick ratio. 21 touchdowns, 9 picks, 20 touchdowns, 9 picks, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks. And when you're in that 65%, you rounded up in 2023, when you're 69% in 2024, when you're 70% in 2022, like this isn't some rookie coming out and having a good game at the end of the summer against, third string scrubs who aren't even going to make the team. This is a player, granted, he's had a very checkered past, especially with the Jets. He's bounced around, so he's thought to be this nomadic, this failed transient early second-round pick, and in a lot of ways he was. It doesn't mean that you can't revitalize your career or have a decent second or third act. What quarterback has done that for the Jets? Again, I'm waiting for answers. There are none. You're angry at the wrong stuff. All right, J-Rod, thank you, brother. Get me back up on screen. Thank you. So, what you're angry at, and by the way, I used to do this. I've learned my lesson. It's more mature, BT, all right? What I no longer do, because it's tired, it's exhausting, it's depressing, it's played out, it's weak. I mean, I'm just done with it. What I don't do anymore, and I will never do this anymore, all right? And I kind of stopped last year, where you talk about the Jets, and invariably, at some point, it spins into the fake spike with Aaron Glenn, the butt fumble, you throw out the name Kotite or Bubby Brister, or, all the other, Mark Sanchez eating a hot dog on the bench against the Raiders. All these things that we kind of lump into one because we cannot escape our Jets torture. It seems terminable. It just does, or terminal, pardon me. Wish we could terminate it. And so it's kind of a hybrid. Terminable, terminate, terminal. It seems terminal. It's not terminal. Like, there is not a curse of Joe Namath, all right? There's just not. There's not. We're not going to be shackled in the chains of football hell forever. It's going to change at some point. But I promise you how it's not going to change. It's not going to change if you watch a guy, whomever it is, whether it was, Brady Cook or somebody else, come out there, an unproven, untested kid with no stripes, throw for 57%, and throw for 2,200 yards in the modern NFL. It's not going to get better. Eventually, Garrett Wilson's going to say, get me out of here. I'm surprised he hasn't already said it. So everybody's just, you do what you want. I'm trying to tap the brakes on the lunacy and, quite frankly, the idiocy that I have heard from Jet fans and commentators about this. I don't get it. You're paying the dude $3.1 million. Raiders are eating basically all the money. You gave up a 6th-round pick. What's the problem? I mean, what is the problem? I'll tell you. The problem is that many of you are either lazy, so it's easy to shit on the Jets. Little joke on X. Oh, wow, I got 37 hearts. Oh, I got 9 retweets. Whoa, I got a comment. Somebody thought that my dumb joke was funny. It's not funny, and it's not applicable. It's not current. It does not apply to this situation. So you can do whatever you want. You can remain tortured, or you could try to bust out of this hellhole of a football existence like I've done, and I'm in the process of doing, and evaluate this, I don't know, intellectually, I don't know, pragmatically, I don't know, oriented with numbers. It seems like a pretty decent way to do this, And again, guys, really, if there was somebody out there that I really thought was like young and proven and somebody that I thought the Jets could hitch their wagon to for whatever amount of money it was, where there was enough evidence, that's the key, and that's the difference with Willis, evidence, right? And I do like him, and he might be very good, but evidence that he would have come here and he would have been the man and he would have elevated, and you can actually see yourself winning a Super Bowl or getting deep in a playoff run with quarterback X, who, by the way, does not exist, then I'd say, you know what, you're right. And I'd be the one leading the charges, crushing Muji and dumping all over Woody, not regurgitating all the stuff from back in the day, but current day. What are you doing? Why did you miss this? What's going on? What happened? We had this guy who's 25 years old, who's done X, Y, and Z for the last couple of years. He's a proven winner. He's durable. He can elevate. Why didn't we get him? There is nobody like that. So you need to get it through your thick heads. You just do, man. All right, let me get this guy. Ben Lembo, 6339. Benny, what's going on, buddy? I appreciate that. All right, yep. Geno stabilized at the starting quarterback spot. Now the staff can focus on other elements of the team. 2027 prospects. I'd like to do what the Giants did. Reese, number 2. Ty Simpson, number 16, if available. Okay, yes. Now, do I think there's a chance the Jets take Ty Simpson? I do. I think there's a chance. Do I think that there's a pretty good chance that Carson Wentz is also here? I do. Well, if that's the case, and you have 2 veterans, one, MVP type, and the other who's had this really, really good renaissance last year aside, it's not the worst quarterback room in football, which the Jets perennially have. So automatically it's a win to an extent. Might not result in actual real wins, but at least perceptually it's a win. It's a step in the right direction, right? Now, last year, think about it. So I gave you the stats those 3 years where Geno was really playing well. And you watched the NFL. He was 9th in the MVP. He led the league in completion percentage. He really did some nice things. Well, I'm going to give you some more numbers without inundating you with numbers, but this matters, right? Let's go back to last year. Geno was not very good for the Raiders. Raiders were awful. I talked about Chip Kelly getting whacked. Talked about the O-line, dead last in the NFL. Well, last year, and we know who played quarterback for the Jets. Last year, the Jet quarterbacks threw for basically 2,700 yards. Geno, in an awful year, threw for over 3,100. Advantage Geno, all right? Last year, the horrid collection of Jet quarterbacks threw for a minuscule 60.3%. Like, that's 1980 shit right there. That's when you got guys 57%, 50. Oh, somebody 63%. Wow, he's a star. 60.3. Geno, on a bad year, 68%. 68%. What Jet quarterback does that besides Rodgers for a minute? 4 more touchdowns. Yeah, I'm not going to get too wrapped up in quarterback rating, whatever, but the Jets' collective quarterback rating a year ago was 75. Last year, Geno, again, on a bad year for a franchise that might even be worse off than the Jets before they get Mendoza and run Brady, but I'm talking about before now, like up until now. The Raiders basically are the Jets of the West Coast, and he was 85. So 10 quarterback rating points higher. Again, you're not going to beat the Buffalo Bills for the AFC East or the Pats, but you're not going to be losing 35-9 in the fourth quarter anymore, which is step 1. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. Now, J-Rod, if you could cook up that other thing about the scouting report with Geno, right? So I went and I did a little bit of a deep dive here, and that's not hyperbolic. When you talk about game-breaking accuracy, whether it's Warren Sharp and others, and I did a deep dive and I came up with this hybrid roadmap of who Geno is at this point. Not that Geno got popped in the face by his teammate for $600. All right. So completion percentage, top 5 in the NFL. Right away, it's a win because the Jets are going to run the ball. They're not going to have GENO SMITH coming out, unless they're down big, coming out, throwing the ball 37 times by design. They're going to do play action. They're going to look to run it 25 times a game. They're going to run the ball, which sets up, again, play action, which will be a home run for one of the more accurate throwers in the NFL. All right, when you look at, there was a lot of things here, but and even the deep ball, but I just started with exceptional accuracy in the 0 to 10-yard range. So, a little quick stick route, something in the flats, a little screen pass, a little shallow cross, whatever it might be. Those throws will be on the numbers. They will be on the hands of Garrett Wilson and Mason Taylor and maybe Brian Thomas, who I'll get to in a minute if they trade for him, and they might, from the Jaguars, or if they take one of these stud receivers with the 16th overall pick in the draft, okay? He anticipates well. His timing is very good. There's numbers, deeper diving, which I'm not going to get too into now, but deeper diving analytical stuff, which actually tells you, I will give you one in a moment, that when things get, frenetic around him, Geno actually plays better, and he puts the ball consistently in the right spot. His velocity is above average, and his placement is highly above average. So what else do you need, man? I mean, unless you are really an idiot, then you just can't understand that the Jets got a better quarterback for 2026. I don't know what else to tell you. And if this is not some sell job, I don't work for the Jets. Nobody is dumped on the Jets outside of maybe Beningo because he's done it longer with the venom and the vitriol that I have. I have destroyed the Jets over the years because they deserve it. This is not something that they really deserve criticism for. Now, it's not something you go bonkers about. Yay, we got Geno. You're not texting your buddies, yo, we're back, we got Geno. Nobody's doing that. Could the answer for once be somewhere in between? Can we? That's where it is for me. A matter of fact, to be fair, if this is the middle and that's good and that's bad, and again, this is the middle, I'm probably a little bit more this way towards good. How about this? Now, there are circumstances. Maybe he didn't play early in the game and his team fell behind, whatever. But I'm just going to read you a stat, all right? Most go-ahead touchdowns in the fourth quarter since 2022, all right? Matthew Stafford, he's fourth. He's got 8. Josh Allen, the great Stafford, Hall of Famer. Josh Allen, you know I love him. Hall of Famer, absolute beast. He's got 9. Dak, even though the Cowboys are a wreck with their defense, Dak's a prolific thrower of the ball. He's got 10. Again, the stat is most go-ahead touchdowns in the fourth quarter or overtime. Geno doesn't have 11 or 12 or 13. He's got 14. Most in football. 14. 14, Dak 10, Allen 9, and Stafford 8. So, I mean, these are things he's done. These aren't things that I'm saying he could do, like, and it's a different energy, obviously, like somebody like Ty Simpson, who I do like, and I've talked a lot about why I think he could actually be a pretty good pro, and why I do think the Jets should, and others, should seriously investigate taking him in the middle of the first round. I think there's a chance maybe he goes into low teens, because when you actually examine what he did at Alabama, I mean, really examine it, and not just watch him in the playoffs when he got hurt and played like ass, like most of you do. Let's face it. Most of you just pop in for the big games and you read the headlines. And, you know, and I get it, because it's not necessarily your livelihood, unless you're a diehard, devout Alabama fan or an SEC fan. Are you really in the weeds on Ty Simpson? No, you don't really need to be. I'm not calling you out. I'm just telling you the way it is. And the reason why I think Ty Simpson didn't have a really, really good year last year is because Alabama could not run the ball at all. Like, they were 170th in big-time college football yards per rush. They were always behind the chains, always. And they don't have any first-round picks coming out to wide receiver like they did all those other years with Judy and the boys, right? So I think that with somebody like Simpson, there could be like more energy because it's more of a projection. And even though I do like him, I would certainly understand the pushback, right? I was just giving you some, behind the curtain stuff as context, right? The Geno stuff, it's you're arguing against, like, it's self-loathing is really what it comes down to. It's the psychology of being a Jets fan, because take every Jets fan out of the equation right now. If you were to somehow aggregate, if you could do this, every single football opinion that popped up yesterday once the news broke that GENO SMITH was returning to the Jets, all right? And it was from people who cover the game and you who watch the game. But again, Jets don't exist. Like, Jets aren't around. Not a single Jet fan walking the planet. Never heard of the Jets. Never heard of Joe Namath. Never won the Super Bowl back in 69. There's no Jets, right? The reaction would be totally different to what Jet fans, the shift in weight of yesterday. And it's because it's fueled through emotion, which I understand, because I've lived the same life that you've lived as a Jets fan. I get it. But again, you do what you want. I'm just telling you, if you're able, and some of you are incapable of it, to play amateur psychologist, I can tell you and I can cajole, I could beg you to actually do it. And you just can't do it because you're so scarred, or it's so deeply embedded and deeply rooted into your football existence that you are incapable of grabbing an objective prism and viewing it and getting a sense of what the Jets just did. You can't do it, all right? And it's made even harder when it's a guy that was once here that got, lit up by a teammate because he owed him $600 and wasn't a very good player here. I understand, and it was amplified because he sat on the bench, across town for the Giants for a minute, and then he's the one that interrupted Eli's streak. I know, going back in the day, there's a lot of negative energy, and a lot of it was earned by Geno, all right? But I've talked about this a million times. There is a second life in the NFL, and there's actually such a thing as a third life. And again, if you're angry, if you're angered by this, I want to know why. Why are you angry? Because if you tell me that the Jets just got worse at the quarterback spot, you are dumb. You just don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea. And I cannot help, and I won't try. Like, if you don't know that, I'm not going to waste energy on you. You have to know that they got better based on what we watched a year ago. So, all right. Geno was brought in to be a tank commander, and that's just the reality of the situation. Totally disagree, Jay. No way. Now, I will say this, Jay. Thank you for the text there. They are not looking at him to be the tank commander, the commander in tank, the tank at arms, if you will. No, because number one, jobs are at stake. Now, Muji's a lot more secure than Glenn, but when you are early in, let me explain how it works for an unstable loser franchise with a petulant, dopey owner like Woody Johnson. When you're that team and you're hired by that team, given all the volatility, the hirings, and the constant, revolving door, conveyor belt of coaches and GMs and quarterbacks, you know that at some level you're on borrowed. I mean, everybody's on borrowed time with every profession, but especially with the ones that are unstable like the Jets. They recycle, they go through them quick. So while I can sit here and tell you that I think Muji's cooking, I absolutely love what Darren Muji's doing. He's shown real forward thinking, a real modern, innovative slant to how he goes about his business. I love it. I'm going to get to Brian Thomas in a minute. So, but he's not looking at it that way. He's thinking about self-preservation. We were awful last year. Our product was unwatchable. So he knows, and certainly Aaron knows, that if it's like this again, Aaron's definitely gone. And I would hope that they wouldn't get rid of Muji, but with dopey Woody Johnson, you never know. So when you operate under that's pressure, right? Under that pressure, and not self-imposed pressure, which we all have with certain things, but the things that we can't control, like Woody, there is now a desperate need to, at least at the bare minimum, make incremental progress, So when you send me a text or I see tweets, they're going to tank with Geno, no, it's the complete antithesis. They're actually trying to win games. And again, if you don't know that, I mean, sometimes I really wonder how little you guys know about sports. Some of you, not all of you. It really is ridiculous. Like, it's like they've hijacked, like, social media has hijacked the brains of so many of you. It's turned to mush. There's no logic anymore. No, if you wanted to tank, Brady Cook would be the starter in week 1. How do you not know that? So he's objectively better than anybody the Jets have had outside of Rodgers since Fitzpatrick. That's over a decade. Number one. Got the snow blower. Number one. Number two, he's better than anybody else that's out there that would have made sense for the Jets given their rebuild. Again, could Malik Willis have a better year? Sure, but that's a big risk at this process, at this stage of the rebuild. This is a Band-Aid. I admit it. But at least Band-Aids kind of soak up the bleeding. And I'll start with that. I can't watch 40-6 anymore. I can't watch quarterbacks missing wide open targets by 3 yards, which in the NFL is equivalent to 30 feet when we were playing in the street. You just got to be there's got to be a baseline level of competence, which I believe the Jets now have. I do. You know that. All right. OG, what up there? OG Jake 99. Appreciate you, buddy. Geno's a move Muji and AG make to have a year 3 in New York and keep Garrett happy. All right. Well, now we're getting in the right direction. Listen, and thank you for that. They're not making that move saying, all right, what could we do? I'll use the word incrementally again. Like, what can we do to just get a little incrementally better, just to shut that dope up owner so he's not going to fire us here and keep Garrett from squawking about a trade? Winners don't think that way. Like, losers think that way. And you guys might think Aaron Glenn's a loser. Aaron Glenn is more of a winner than all of us put together. And I consider myself a winner, all right? But when you're a star in high school, in Texas, when you go to A&M and you're a star in college and you're a star in the NFL and you help elevate multiple franchises, you are a winner. Now, the record might say as a Jets coach, All right, we are we good?
I think we're good. I mean,
dude, I swear to God. So I can't. J-Rod, you got to talk me down a little bit. Cause I'm that gets me so angry, dude. You have no idea.
Trust me, I know, dude. Because listen, and this is just like a little behind the scenes Unleash fam. Like, there's like a recording of you on the StreamYard, and like something crashes out during it, and you're just like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is too, because we were on the phone. We are hardwiring. We're hardwiring this.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good thing.
No, once you get the Ethernet, but it's funny. People were saying Geno crashed the stream.
Oh, God. But I don't know why it happens. I really don't like. It doesn't matter. It's behind the scenes stuff. It really doesn't matter. So, give me a collective, if you can, Mr. J-Rod. Give me a collective sense of where we are as you're looking this up. Where we are with the reaction to the Geno signing. And by the way, as you get that, get me back up that stat thing. I got to look at something real quick there. I want to point something back out. Not the scouting report, the actual stats. All right. And just keep that up for a sec. There you go. Okay, so when you're talking about guys, when you are talking about stuff that is debatable and stuff that is really, again, fueled by emotion, I think that's the fun part of some of these conversations. But it really is, and I do this because I don't know how many people just tuned in, but I do this because I think that this is the one thing that you just can't refute. You know, you could talk Geno this and you know, IK and Poly that, and Jets tortured quarterback history this. When was the last time? And again, I'm asking you the question. When was the last time that you sat back for a Jets season and you watched, again, outside of Rodgers, and you watched somebody do this? When was the last time that happened? It's Ryan Fitzpatrick. So now, listen, it may not have made a big difference last year because the Jets defense was so wretched, all right? And it really didn't matter. But let's just say, let's take his best year of the which year did he finish? That would have been 2022. Was that comeback player of the year? All right. So let's just say he's not going for 30 touchdowns. Let's just say we take a little bit of a hybrid as I do the math on the fly here. Let's say Geno goes for 3,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 13 picks. All right. I mean, you can get that off the screen. Thank you now, Jared. Isn't that a much more desirable watch there? And what do you think that does for the rest of the guys on the team? Like, you know, we talk about the word culture, right? And culture to me, like it's very nebulous. You know, it's a buzzword. Oh, we got to improve the culture. How many press conferences have you watched where you got some coach, some manager up there espousing the virtues of culture? All right. Well, but then you ask somebody to define culture, and everybody's, you know, hemming and hawing and stammering around. Well, I mean, like when you do, I don't like, but to me, culture is very simple. Culture is being emotionally reliable and physically reliable in terms of doing your job, right? That's my starting definition. And then as a subset to that, I would then probably say that there is enough internal leadership and expectation and want from within that if those standards are not met, that the team almost polices itself, okay, and gets everybody back on the same page and kind of checks guys when they need to. Like, you know, there's a reason why these, you know, Tom Brady, even though Belichick's phenomenal, but, you know, Belichick could only do so much. But when Tom Brady lights up the offensive lineman for missing a blitz, whatever it might be, or a running back for missing a chip block, and Tom Brady gets popped from behind because his running back didn't do his job, clipping the linebacker or clipping the edge. Well, guess what? You know, Tom Brady is going to scream at you, and he doesn't care who sees it. And if you're on the other end of that, you got two choices. You either take it, which you better, or you respond in a different way, and now you feel the wrath of everybody because everybody's going to have Tommy's back. So that's what I mean by now. That's the highest end of culture because it's Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and it's a dynasty. But I don't think that the Jets can really step forward organizationally if you just don't get semi-competent quarterback play, because it undoes everything. It just the best laid plans, they go up in smoke. You could have this incredible training camp, you know, awesome OTAs, just full throttle in the weight room, on point watching film, fully engaged and fully immersed and together. Great connectivity as a team. And then all of a sudden you start the season, maybe first couple of, like the Steelers game last year, right? Jets could have won. Very competitive, right? It was a competitive. The Bucs could have won that game when they blocked the punt, brought it back to the house when Aaron was dancing. By the way, he still moves like he's 20. I know we got clowned for that, but I wish I could move like that. Those gyrations, he was still pretty fluid. And then what happened? Well, Fields got hurt, and then obviously a young quarterback was thrust into the situation, wasn't ready, and now it was non-competitive. And now it's 30-3 at the half or 44-10 when it's all said and done. And even those who are fully emotionally invested and really genuinely try to do the right thing, those intentions get blown up because you just get beat down emotionally. And then, of course, physically on a week-to-week basis, it's very hard to keep that same energy, even if you're trying. So I believe, I can debate. I believe that there's value in going, let's say 7-10 next year, and maybe that's ambitious. Maybe it's 6-11, whatever. But I'll just settle on 7 wins. Maybe you lose 2 or 3 tight ones, and you're really competitive. You get blown out 1 or 2. I mean, even good teams get blown out. So maybe you get your doors blown off 3 times, whatever. Ugly games, one-sided stuff. But the totality of the season is one that is rooted in competitiveness. And when you're playing on a weekly basis, right? When you're playing 4 quarters to the final gun because you've got something to play for, it elevates, I know, again, cliche, but it elevates the floor. It keeps morale high. And now it gives the rookies, and talking about next year, the second-year players like the Mason Taylors, guys like that, Membu, young players, now they're like, all right, this is what it feels like to compete. And now the expectation as the years go on, when the younger draft picks come in, now they're coming into a more stable, healthier situation. And then eventually when you do get the quarterback, the other stuff around it is right. It's ready. So that's genuinely how I feel about it. Now, the other thing, too, you saw this yet. Connor Hughes had it. Some others had it as well. Looks like Brian Thomas is very available from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, he's going to have a lot of competition. I think Connor said that he didn't think that the Giants would necessarily jump in, but obviously for a multitude of reasons, the Jets would be very interested. Number one, they've got an abundance of second-round picks, which is what it seems like the Jaguars want. They've got money, even though he's not really getting paid a lot of money yet because he's still on his rookie deal. Either way, to me, this is something that I would absolutely do, and I would absolutely give up a second-round pick for him. And I might even go like a second and something else to further entice the Jaguars, because you're going to have to distinguish yourselves in terms of the other packages that are presented to the Jaguars, because this cat could play. I don't care what he did last year. His rookie year, he had 1,300 yards. He had 87 catches, 10 touchdowns. He's an absolute monster. And, it went sideways last year. It didn't really work out. Now, you look at the contract. He's under contract. So, first 5-year deal. Under contract 26 for like $3 million or a 2 change maybe, and then 27, relatively low number, about 3.3. And then in 2020, so that would be 26. In 2028, you get the player option with that 5th year. You've got great controllability. Now, again, you have to love the player, and they've got to watch the film. Like, what happened last year? Was he checking out of plays? I don't think so, but because that's not the word around Brian Thomas. But if they were to deduce that based on the film and they don't think he's a fit, well, then I'd have to respect that. But I don't think that they'll see that. So from a football evaluation point of view, it makes a ton of sense. And from a financial and roster building point of view, it makes a ton of sense, because let's say the Jets don't take Ty Simpson. They're not taking any other quarterback at 16. We know that, right? And all the moves that they've made, obviously you're going edge at number 2 because you brought in a bunch of run stuff and big boy monsters. And I like what the Jets did, right? Even bringing back Demario Davis, some veteran leadership, linebackers. All right, you dress the safety position. You got a corner. So the defense should be better. I'm not saying it's going to be great, but you clearly know what they're doing at number 2, unless they were to maybe trade out of 2, drop down a couple of the spots, and then still take an edge, which I think could happen, and I'd be open to that as well. But the ability now to further reshape your roster with the acquisition of Brian Thomas. If you trade for Brian Thomas, you're not taking a wide receiver at 16. So you go on defense. Or maybe that's where you say, all right, maybe now I could justify taking Ty Simpson at 16, or trading out of 16 if somebody else loves Ty Simpson and you don't, and maybe getting some more draft capital. Like there's so many things to do, or potentially to do. To me, Brian Thomas is young, is cheap, is incredibly talented, is big. He's the opposite of Wilson because, Garrett's thinner, more, small space, cut on a dime. And I mean, he's great, but I'd like to have some, a horse on the other end, on the other side. And he's pretty much that. He's like 6'2.5", 205. I think he's 209. He's at least 6'2" change, and I know he's at least 205. So he's in that window. I'm just saying if you were to start next season with Breece Hall, you're going to have to get a guard now because Simpson's gone, ABT's gone. That's fine. I expected that. You have an awesome offensive line, or at least a really good one. Better quarterback play action, Geno, whatever. Mason Taylor, Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas. Well, I mean, now you can at least, you could start doing stuff. And then if you were to get Brian Thomas, the other thing that you could do is that you can now go defense again at 16. They're setting themselves up to do some interesting stuff. I still think they're going to get Carson Wentz. I'm okay with that. It's kind of a model like the Giants a year ago. You heard yesterday, well, why didn't the Jets just go get Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson can't play anymore. Russell Wilson's finished. Russell Wilson would rather go to some art gala dressed in a tuxedo, than I think play football at this point. And I don't think he's good. I think he's done. All right. I'd actually rather have Jameis Winston if that was the choice, because he could still throw it. But again, guys, there was a dearth of options. So, I came out strong today. You know where I stand. I'm not yelling for an hour and a half. I don't have the energy, and I don't need to because I made my point. I just don't understand, nor will I ever, some of the unfair vitriol and pushback at this move. There was nothing else to do, and he's a slightly better than average quarterback. What's the problem? Okay, so a couple of little show items here. J-Rod, pop on up there, brother. Where's my guy, J-Rod? Then I got to get to Bam Sham 88. I mean, come on, Bam out at the NBA.
We got to talk about that game.
I'm going to. I'm going to get to the WBC as well with DeRosa with a massive gap. We got a couple of things to do here. So we just cut out. And the reason we cut out, right, is because my wires, it's a brand new laptop. Like, it's good equipment. I don't know. But I also don't fully understand all this equipment yet. I got to tell you. Sure. Anyway, so, like, it's a little, like, wonky. Like, if you touch a wire, something happens. I just got to keep my hands here, right? Put your hands where you can see them, that you can see them, right? Number one. So that's number one. Number two, so a little housekeeping. We hung up with Verizon. I'm actually speaking at Verizon tomorrow. Can't wait. There we go. Big room, bunch of executives. Going to be awesome. Some motivational speaking. So that'll be great tomorrow. And we called Verizon, not them, but we called the office Verizon. And they told us what we needed to do to hardwire. Evidently, it's pretty simple. And again, I don't need to you guys know how to do that probably better than me, but it will be done certainly by next week, probably by tomorrow, I would imagine. So some of those intermittent, like little interruptions on the stream, like when I freeze, I know. And I told you guys it was still building this out. I haven't said this in a while, but it's not a finished product yet. It's just not. All right. Click by click, brick by brick. We know that. We're over 18,000. What's that?
Ethernet cable by Ethernet cable.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Big fat yellow cord by big fat yellow plug, right? And we'll get to 19,000 subs by the weekend. We're going to get to 1 million total views probably by the weekend. Like we're deep. We're not deep. We're right in the mid 900,000s already for 2 months of doing this. And then obviously we're going to fly by 20,000 subs quick. I think this channel is going to really explode during baseball season. I really do. And NFL draft stuff. But the other thing, I don't want to belabor this, but the other thing, I hung up. Yeah, I spoke yesterday to my guy, Stephen A. So Stephen A will be on the show probably next week. I said, I need an hour. He's like, how much you need? I said, I need at least an hour. I said, preferably you pour yourself a glass of wine because he's busy doing First Take, General Hospital, and I mean, the guy's always busy. So he got back to me right away. I texted him, got back to me right away. And I had reached out about a month. I said, hey, I need you on the show about a month ago. But now it's like, all right, now we start rolling the guests in. Now it's go time. He's like, I got you. He said, he's got he's got to finish his dental procedure this weekend. He's got some dental work going on. And provided he's okay, because I know he missed a little bit of time on First Take as well because of that about a month or so ago. Provided he's okay and he can yap, because Stephen A, without his ability to be Stephen A and fully yap and let it go, is not the Stephen A version that we want. I think it's going to happen next week. Now, I've got to navigate where I am with St. John's on the NCAA tournament. Sure. I'm going to be traveling, could be in Florida, could be up in Buffalo, could be down in Philly, could be in Portland. I don't know yet. But there is a really good chance that Stephen A will be on next week, and a 100% chance he's on within the next 2 weeks on lock. Done.
Let's go.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, gonna be so exciting, fun talk. Hopefully, get them fired up. But also, like, I think what would be really cool is like something, similar to the Don LaGreca yesterday, where you're really getting a behind the scenes look into this person, into their personality, into the work they've done. So yeah, I think that's gonna be great.
Well, that's really what I strive for. Like when I had Michael on and I had Don, and Don was great, and so was Michael. Both made news, by the way. They picked up some stuff.
I saw the Barrett Media post.
Yeah, that Don said yesterday about not having his name on the Michael K show. And then, it's not just, so Michael, how long of a leash do you think Anthony Volpe will have? Of course I'm going to ask certain questions about that stuff, but this is a conversation. I don't look at these as interviews. I look at these as conversations. Mm-hmm. Most of the people I know, so far, everybody we've had on, I know really well. But they'll get to a point where I'll have some others on, big names that I know a little bit. Like I was texting, Gary V? Gary V.
Come on.
Yeah.
He's like the number one guy that like this show has reminded me of.
Okay. I was texting Gary yesterday. Dropped my son had a workout, like a weight training thing.
Oh, big Jets guy. Yeah.
He wants to buy the Jets, Gary V. He wants to. Oh, yeah. He's been on the record with that for a while. So I'm at the point now. My son, he just turned 11. I'm not up as behind. Hey, go work out. You do your thing. Daddy's in the car. Just go figure out. You got your trainer. Go. So I'm in the car and I'm doing a lot of work. And I'm just kind of going through the Rolodex. I'm like, I haven't talked to Gary in a little bit. I know him a little, very little.
Sure.
And I shot him a text. He got back to me right away. I think his response was, fuck yeah.
Oh,
so he's
man.
He's in.
Dude,
he's in.
That's going to be
insane. And Jay, these are conversations like, I just think it's really interesting. Like back to the Stephen A thing. I just wanted to give you the Gary V. Very real possibility. Well, he's going to come on. I just don't know when. But with somebody like Stephen A, and if Steven sees this, don't take this the wrong way, bro. I don't really care what you think about the Knicks because I've heard you talk about the Knicks forever. All right. I'm more curious about when the cameras were off, the dynamic, maybe you and Skip, you and Max.
Yeah.
You ever get tired of having to be so wound up every day and the pressures of making $25-30 million a year, being the guy at ESPN, some of the bullshit at ESPN that you might have to deal with, the political stuff that you have now removed yourself from, but seemingly we're headed to. So those are the conversations, obviously a little Knicks stuff, but that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's what I will do.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Just gonna be great. And like, you're gonna get, a whole new side of Stephen A, I think, that people haven't really seen before.
Yes. Well, that's the goal. I'm happy you say that. I want people to see the Stephen A that I know. Like, Jay, you and, by association, the world knows Stephen A a little snippet, or if you're a real fan of the show, you watch the whole show, the bombastic approach and the beefs with certain players and Whitlock and all. I'm going to get into the Whitlock stuff too. Some other stuff. I know Steven, number one, when he was just starting out, he definitely wasn't this yet. And, and I'm looking forward to running this by him. One of the things, and then I want to move on here, but one of the things that I really loved and cherished and valued working with Steven, when Stephen A and I were in the studio together it was about a year, and it was about 06, if I had to throw a year out there, I think 06, 07, probably 06. And back then, people weren't really talking a lot about race. They really weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Not now. Unfortunately, it's too much, I think. Like, I think there's people who just inflame situations just for clicks. I think there's race baiters out there. I think there's a lot of well-intentioned people as well, but I think it's been hijacked. My point is that me and Steven, or Steven and I, would talk about these things off air and about like real things. And we know each other and we've got profound respect for one another. So it's going to be, I take a lot of pride in doing interviews and great conversations. I think it's going to be a Steven that you haven't seen very often. That's my goal.
Awesome. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Cannot wait. Know what I'm saying? I do. I'm picking up what you're putting down. So excited. And I mean, listen, Stephen A's been, that guy in my generation's life, I think, since we were 13 or 14 years old, watching First Take. I'd say my generation was definitely more First Take with Kellerman was certainly my age range. But yeah, I mean, he's the guy who got all of us into like sports talk, sports debate and stuff like that. So
I love it.
Gonna be too cool.
It's going to be good. By the way, before we get into, I'm going to get to the Johnnies report here in a minute, and then we'll get to Bam. I'll got to get to WBC, hammering some of these text here. Can you hold up that microphone? Why are you holding up a microphone that they used on The Price is Right in 1979?
I honestly,
it's spelling bee, when I was in the spelling bee at Good Shepherd School, in the fifth. Well, actually, I was in it there. I was a very good speller. Won it a couple times too. Why are you holding that microphone?
Honestly, it's just like a little more comfortable than like having it on the stand. I also think I like. I don't know. Listen, you got to tell me. Do you like the aesthetics of it resting on the stand better than someone holding it? Because I kind of like the holding it. I feel like Alex Trebek, something like that.
I'm just messing with you. It's an old. I mean, you would think that the old head, I would have that. I got the.
You might have the Sinatra coming down from the ceiling.
Take it easy, dude. Take it easy, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Madison Square Garden. This is the main event. Bob Backlund versus superstar Billy Graham.
Oh, my God.
That's 2 out of 3 falls. All right, let's get to the Johnnies report. I got a lot of stuff to do here every single Wednesday on the show. Of course, my good friends at Sullivan and Papain. We get to the Johnnies report. St. John's getting ready for the Big East tournament. Not playing today, playing tomorrow. And we'll get into that in a minute. Get fired up with Sullivan Papain at every St. John's home game this season at the Garden. Remember the name, Sullivan Papain. A winning team on the court and in the courtroom. Find Sullivan Papain at triallaw1.com. That's triallaw1.com. Sullivan Papain. Remember the name, Sullivan Papain. All right, the Johnnies report. So here we are, guys. I mean, this season has flown by. 25-6 regular season, 18-2. And I didn't think they were going to go 18-2 when I was watching them early in the year, non-conference. But I mean, a little more magic from the great Rick Pitino. 18-2 in the Big East. Regular season champs, back-to-back times. First time that's happened since the mid-'80s. Wow. They moved up a couple of slots, now 13th in the AP. They moved up a tick in the net, which obviously matters for seeding, so they're 21. Right now they're pretty much thought to be about a 5 seed. I know Lenardi had them as a 5. Some others have them as a 6 in terms of that NCAA tournament where they might go. And wherever they go, I will go. So I'll bring you all that NCAA content. I'm looking forward to really being on the road with them. Zuby, this was announced. Zuby Ejiofor, this is amazing. He's going to be so missed, man. So Zuby, Big East Player of the Year, Big East Defensive Player of the Year, and Big East Scholar of the Year. The Big East was born in 1979. Twice in the vaunted history of the conference, a player has won all 3 of those. Player of the Year, Defensive, and Scholar. The last time it happened, the only time besides Zuby this year, UConn's Emeka Okafor, who is a great college player, decent pro, but a great college player. So, just an amazing year by Zuby. How's he cap it off? You'd love to see a long run here. Bryce Hopkins, Dylan Mitchell, also honored 2nd and 3rd team. You got 3 games today for the Big East tournament. You got Providence and Butler, Xavier Marquette. You got Georgetown DePaul. And then tomorrow at noon, it is the Johnnies against the winner of the Providence Butler game. And listen, I don't know how far they're going to go. I hope it's very far, and I hope it's a Final Four. But the thing that's going to either prevent St. John's from going far or really going far is the backcourt. Because I don't have any doubts, even though matchups are you never know what you get. The front court's going to play. The backcourt's been the issue, and I don't mean Dylan Darling. Ian Jackson has been confounding, wildly talented, but a very confounding season. And then you're going to need something out of Sonnen. So if you get that, they've got a chance to make some real noise. So that's it. I'm looking forward to it. And again, of course, the Johnnies report brought to you by Sullivan Papain, triallaw1.com, triallaw1.com. Remember the name, Sullivan Papain. So we are here. Big East tournament is upon us. I love it. All right. Now, I was watching and I'll get to the WBC in a moment. DeRosa. I mean, I love DeRosa. It's hard to mess up as much as he messed up yesterday. I got a little issue here, Team USA. Not to mention you lost to Italy. You got deeper issues than that. So I'm watching the WBC, and then I may have even thrown on Sports Night. I fell asleep a little bit quicker than usual last night, like 11, whatever. So I didn't even know about Bam's night until very early this morning. Bam Adebayo scored 83 points, man. 83 points. And all right, I mean, 83, it's second most since Wilt. But if you saw the way it went down, first of all, they were winning at one point. It was 141 to 119 with 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. All right. And they kept going. And they were triple teaming him, the Wizards, and he kept jacking up shots. And then they were up by 26 points and they were fouling the Wizards. The Heat were fouling the Wizards to stop the clock, to give Bam more room to either break the record or get past Kobe or get into the 80s and all that other stuff. I mean, what an absolute sham. What an absolute farce. He's not, I don't look at it. He's not second. It's Wilt and it's Kobe, period. And I got to tell you, the Heat culture is a thing that gets a lot of play. And I've even though they've been an adversary of the Knicks, like I've always respected the Heat culture because in a lot of ways they mirror the Knicks. But many of the years they've just been better at doing what the Knicks try to do. With the championships, obviously, with the coaching. I think he's one of the great Spoelstra is one of the great coaches of our generation. I think he's really that good. Pat Riley, great executive. They always make a trade that you don't see coming. But like culture's got back to the word culture. Culture's got to be all encompassing. When you're going out of your way and you're really not only are you disrespecting the Wizards. Like if I was one of the Wizards, and I know these guys don't think this way, I would have dropped them. That's fight worthy. The shit that they were pulling last night. Honestly, I mean, you found the Wizards with $1:30 to go. Stop the clock. Get it to Bam. Get it to Bam. So what kind of culture is that? I am very surprised. I'm not surprised that the players did it because the players grow up. Every player on the court now in the NBA grew up in an AAU culture. And I'm not here to denigrate the AAU in its entirety because there's a lot of well-intentioned, well-principled coaches. There really are. But and I've seen a lot of clips, and we're not playing AAU yet. When we get there, I'll have more. With the baseball, I am, but not with the basketball. But when we get there, I'll be able to actually tell you more because I'll be there. But really, most of these AAU tournaments are money grabs, and it's one-on-one, and it's showmanship, and it's just showing up your teammate, crossing them up, and then flexing down the court. I get it. Kids want to have fun. All right. And I was defending the players having fun in the WBC, so I'm not contradicting myself, but I feel like it's a little bit much in the lower levels of basketball. Anyway, so the AAU culture is what you'll do is, I'm going to take a little sidestep backwards, actually, because I think you guys will appreciate this. One of the reasons why European basketball is soaring past American basketball is because they do the exact opposite of what we do in the States. In Europe, they basically practice 5 days a week and they play a game 1 day a week. All right. So all the court time is devoted to the principles of the game, properly setting a screen, going under, going above, and then obviously but much more complex than that. That's basic stuff. But they hammer home the fundamentals. That is what they do. And when you see a European come in to the NBA, even if he's not a star like a Luka, I promise you, and he's got a lot of flair too, but there's a reason why these European players are more buttoned up than many of our American players. I know that that's a broad scope and like a broad brush there, but it's true. Now I feel comfortable saying it. Whereas with the American players, it's all about, yo-yoing and handle and, doing whatever you're doing. And it's beautiful to watch and they're amazingly gifted. But those AAU games, you're there 9 a.m. You might play 4, 5, 6 games. You're just playing games. You're not practicing. And again, it's the opposite model. In Europe, they practice every day, play once a week. Here, we basically play every day, and you're lucky if you practice once a week. And it's funny, even on my son's club baseball team, which is a really good team, a lot, including my son sometimes doesn't go to practice because he's got like a district game or he's got a rec game. And even though, rec is not incredibly competitive most times, you have to play X amount of rec games to be eligible for the district all-star. So the point is, even with baseball, there's a lot of practices missed, right? So I think that last night, if you're ever looking for something as a real encapsulation of what's gone awry with American basketball, Exhibit A last night, Bam out of bye. And I'm not even bashing Bam. The fact that it went on, the fact that the Wizards let it happen, weak and just embarrassing, dude. The fact that Spoelstra let it happen, very surprised because I've got profound respect, not a lot. I've got the highest level of respect for Spoelstra. That's how good I think he is, right? On and off the court. I think he's just a winner. He's great. And it was just a sham, but it was a circus. So you guys could say that Bam scored 83, second most in the history of the game. I'm not saying that because he didn't, because Kobe did. Now, the other thing, too, this might be a stretch, and I want to be fair because I don't know that you're really thinking about this in real time. It's easy to think this now, and I did think this morning, too. Don't you think it's a little disrespectful to Kobe? I don't know. Don't you think? I mean, if you soar past Kobe's 80 and you do it organically, like literally within the framework of a fairly competitive game, and you're not manipulating the clock and stopping it with fouls and doing all these things, hey, tip the cap. I can't tip it backwards. Tip the cap. You're second. But for what Kobe's, and again, maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe it's not a responsibility of Spoelstra or anybody else within the Heat to be the gatekeeper for history or for Kobe, but I just feel like Kobe's different. You know, the way he was killed and what he meant to the game and how fierce of a competitor he was. You ever think Kobe would do that? There is not a chance in hell that Kobe Bryant would do that. There is not a chance in hell that Michael Jordan would do that. I'll tell you who might. LeBron. LeBron, I could see LeBron, maybe not now, because I don't think he could score 83 now, but like LeBron 5, 6, 7 years ago, I could see LeBron getting hung up in this because that's kind of what you grow up in. And not even a knock on LeBron, even though I'm not the biggest LeBron fan, as you know. You're a byproduct of what you're around. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, when I was growing up in the 80s, there were a lot of words that were used that you just can't use today, and rightfully so. But the reason why they were a little bit more socially acceptable, like Archie Bunker, right? Think about the show. If you ever saw that, some of the words and some of the intimations and just overt disses of different ethnicities, it was more, now it's comedy, so it's different. I'm not trying to get too deep, but it was more socially acceptable because the older generation kind of spoke that way. I mean, I could get into it totally down. I'm not trying to get, it doesn't, like, I'm not trying to go down that lane, even though I could, and it would be interesting. And not that I'm afraid to, it's too much of a U-turn. But at that point, I'll give you the very quick sketch. At that point, you had a lot of immigrants who were coming to our country, Italian, Irish, German, Jewish, but I might be missing one or two, but like and they came, and you know, there was like a lot of battles, you know, like, you know, I could say this kiddingly, like my grandma on the maternal side, Napolitan, right? And my Uncle Pat, who's the best, married a Sicilian woman who's phenomenal, right? And back in the day, like Napolitan and Sicilian, they're from the same country, you know? So there was a lot of that going on. I don't want you to think I was trying to get too serious, but there were things that were said and that were accepted, and then, you know, we'd kind of say them in the street here and there because you didn't know any better. You were a kid. So you learn what's right and you learn what's wrong. And I just say that because you really are a byproduct of what you're around, what you're taught, and what your habitat is like. And because more players celebrate baseball and the swag and stuff, the younger generation, that's all they know. And it's okay. It's fine. But last night was not fine. Not that you're going to punish them, but like somebody to me has to push back. And I know I'm not alone with this here. Got to push back on what the hell happened last night with Bam Adebayo. 83 points. I would have loved to have seen Spoelstra. Now, maybe he did call a timeout. I saw the clips, but I would have liked to somebody from the Heat on the PR department, SID, or not the SID, but the PR, say, hey, we're getting close to breaking Kobe's record. Is this something we really want to do in a non-competitive game at this point? And then maybe at that point, you communicate that to an assistant coach. He tells Spoelstra, and then, because this is how it happens, by the way, and then it's communicated to the huddle, and then maybe you give Bam a chance. And then Bam, who's a stand-up guy, I think Bam may have been like, you know what? Rest in peace, Kobe. I'm good. I had a big night. I don't need to do it this way. I don't know. Am I overthinking it? Maybe on some level, you know, maybe, but it just didn't seem authentic. And I'm all about records, and I'm all about, you know, trying to climb higher and higher and higher. But it's got to be within the you can't color outside the lines to a point where you disrespect the game. And I thought last night the game was disrespected But I also think every night the game is disrespected because nobody plays defense. Everybody jacks up a three, and in large part, the game stinks, the NBA game. I'm not saying they're not talented. Don't hijack that clip. They are more talented in terms of athletically and shooting prowess and all those other things, right, than the generation that I had when I was first introduced to the game in the 80s. But you tell me which game is better. You tell me which product is better, which is more buttoned up. I know my answer, and I don't think it's my answer just because I'm older. I think it's my answer because it's actually the answer. All right, Avery Summit. I got to put I'm going to put this on here. That's why I can't really wear a hat too much because it doesn't fit. I'm going to start wearing eye black here. If I start wearing some eye black, then I can maybe do it. All right, the Wizards announcers thought Spoelstra was taking Bam out when he was at 81 as an ode to Kobe. Would Kobe have wanted Bam to call the quits to respect him? Never. That's fair. But yes, but those are two very different things. What you're right. Kobe would say, go get it, young buck. I had my moment. You have yours. I don't doubt that Kobe would have done that. But I also think, I can't prove this, but I think that if you're sitting around having a dinner with Kobe and you have a nice glass of Italian wine, he likes his Italian wine, lived in Italy, as we know, and you're having a little bit of vino and you're just talking shop, and he actually say if he watched the entire game and he saw the fouls, come on, the way Kobe is with that competitive nature, you don't think it would have bothered him? Maybe not enough to say it publicly, to call out Bam and take away from his moment. He wouldn't have respected. I think Kobe would have respected the sheer accomplishment. But then when you find out how it happened, I think anybody with any basketball integrity or basketball sensibility would have been like, this ain't what we're looking for. This is not what we're looking for. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Maybe you guys disagree. I know a lot of the younger fans don't care about some of that stuff.
No, I mean,
what do you think?
Okay, this is what I think. I think he did break the record, but then when you watch back, listen, I mean, you're not lying about the fact that it was a very unethical game of basketball, a very unethical way of playing. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like obviously the foul shots is crazy, but to me, just like the 3-point chucking when you're like triple teamed by guys is just like, it's just like, this is not basketball anymore when you're doing that. Like, this is like some weird other game that is not about winning or losing. It's not about your teammates. It's not about any of that. It's about you. And that's what I don't like about it, is it just, it puts a sour taste in my mouth when, like you said, when one of these things happens, but it doesn't happen organically within the real realm of a basketball game.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, if Bam scored 83 and he just had one of these magical all-time nights, which, by the way, it was magical and it was obviously all-time behind Wilt. I'm not trying to take that away, but it was within the framework of the game. And it was a little bit more of a natural pursuit of it. That's okay. But when you manipulate the game, the way that fouling, I will guarantee
anything like it. At least I've never. Yeah.
No, you've seen some things like more so with the girls. Like I've seen more lopsided like high school girls scores over the so and so this team scored they won 119-7.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, how do you let that happen if you're the coach who scored 119 points? Well, sometimes the answer is that you're just so much better, and maybe you played one of the worst teams in the history of existence, so it could be the perfect storm for that kind of a route. But you got to understand, like, I won't begrudge a team like when you rest your starters and now the subs come in and they play hard and they do their thing. I don't take issue with that because they're practicing hard. What are they going to practice all week and they get on the court because they're winning by 50? Just hand the ball to the other team? No, I'm not about that. That's nonsense, man. So you do see some weird things on the women's or the younger women's side. This is very different at this level. I would be surprised, and I would be equally disappointed if Spoelstra, I don't know if he spoke yet today. His next, I didn't even hear what he said after the game, so maybe he did. But he's going to have a night to reflect on this. He's going to talk to some people. He's going to think about this. Some stuff's going to pop into his head that, at least in his defense, is hard to identify in real time. I'm going to give him that. He might not apologize, but there's going to be an element of contrition, I think, or at least contextualization, or even slight remorse that like, hey, you know what? Bam was great, but in hindsight, maybe ...
Yeah, like maybe I shouldn't have been telling my own players to what was it? Like they were like fouling the Wizards just to get this dude a shot. Or
Yes.
there was like another one where the Heat were, I don't know. I gotta look into this some more, but
well, no, I got it for you.
weird foul
Listen,
game.
well, lucky for you, I did it. That's what I do. So again, they're winning 141-119. There's 3:26 to go in the game. At that point, you very easily could have pulled Bam. All right, you try to chase the record. I got that. That's fine. And then Miami's up 26 points. They're up 26. This is all you need to know.
Yeah.
And if I don't mean you, I mean what I'm about to tell you guys. If you're still okay with this, then you're just a different kind of competitor and a different kind of fan than me. And I'm not going to bash you for it, which is different. Miami's up 26. They're fouling the Wizards with 1:46 to go to stop the clock so that they don't bleed it out, so that they can try to maximize the possessions to get Bam to keep going. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's not basketball. That's not basketball.
No.
No, just flat out. But yeah, I mean, good for him. His name will be in the record books, but yeah, even he, I'm sure, will have some second thoughts about it in a month or so. Listen, today he's on top of the world, but give it like a month, I'm sure Bam will be thinking otherwise.
I'm just kind of scanning some of these chats myself here. Anything interesting? Let's see. Breeze, some stuff there. A lot of basketball stuff. What's this? What is this here? J-Rod, is there a way to put up a poll for us to vote on the comments? For example, do you like the GENO move? Yes or no?
Looking into this.
Until calls are available, I feel that could be great for the show. Thank you, Mr. Avery. I'd like my producer to come up with that idea, but he hasn't come up with that idea.
Hey, Avery Summit, my guy.
He's good. He's a big-time fan.
Avery Summit's just me texting under an alias. No,
yeah. Can we do something like that? I know we can do it. I know we can do it. If you go to the YouTube page, it'll say like home, live, shorts, but like posts. Yeah. I put some stuff there. You could obviously, like I do on Twitter sometimes. Yeah. You can run a poll. I don't know. Can you do it live? Can you build that in live?
So
I don't know.
I'd imagine maybe if we were streaming on a different platform other than YouTube, you might be able to. Like I remember, I don't know if you're familiar with like Twitch.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I've definitely seen it there before. Based on StreamYard, you can't do it, but I'm just going to keep looking into that because I think that would be awesome.
What is this here? Jay Cuddy, 8697. What up there, Jay? Love how BT is using Seahawks pictures of GENO to try to make people forget about the Raiders. GENO from last year. Well, honestly, I was just having an AI image created, and they were not creating the helmets that I really wanted.
Yeah, man.
So after a while, I'm just like, screw it. I can't be here all day. Just throw something up on the screen. And no, he wasn't. He wasn't good for the Raiders last year. But if you think that, context matters, well, then you'll probably agree with me because his OC got fired. And by the way, so not only did his OC get fired, but Chip Kelly hasn't done anything in the NFL forever. So he wasn't even a good OC, and then he got fired. And you have a moribund, awful offensive line in front of you and a dysfunctional franchise at that point before Brady got involved and things are changing now, you would think. But so, and it's not like he threw 13 touchdowns and 21 picks like some of these, you know what I mean? Even with all that, he didn't have a good year. I'm not trying to sell you on him having a good year, but even last year, GENO was still 65% completion percentage and a quarterback rating of 85 or 86. Both, certainly the rating is 10 points higher than the Jets' cumulative rating from a year ago. So again, I'm not going to reset all this here. Just go back and watch the show. I really don't know why you're angry. I think that's my most confounding part here. Like angry, you could say, I think there's a lot of reactions to this, like, or I wanted Carson Wentz, but at the end of the day, it's probably a kind of a push. They're really the same guy, which I don't think they are. I think GENO's better at this point. But to get angry about this for a $3.2 million investment and a 6th round pick, what are you doing? Like, you're the kind of person who I think is just kind of predisposed to negativity. Or, you're shell-shocked and you've got those scars of being a Jets fan, which I've chosen to no longer carry those around. I am scarred. The only scars I got on my body are the ones from having surgeries. And unfortunately, I've got a lot of them. I got no Jet scars anymore. I evaluate every Jet season for what it is. I go in hopeful. I go in optimistically. And then, of course, you get the lunatic reacting to the losses. That's always going to happen. But every time the Jets make a move, I choose to think, you not always, but generally skew like, all right, hopefully this works out. Like some of the moves they made, you guys are going nuts one way or the other. I like what Muji's doing. I understand what Muji's doing. And at least to me, Muji is showing a plan. It's not like scattered. It's not like, oh, well, let's do this. And this might not fit, but we're not really ready because we're not ready to win yet, but go out and get this guy and this. It's very clear what they're trying to do. They are trying to stop the run, okay, with a lot of big, capable, big-bodied veterans who are monsters, who are going to take up a lot of space, who are on short-term, team-friendly deals, win, all right? And then you're gonna accent that, hopefully nail the number 2 pick in the draft. Maybe you actually get a rookie that gets 10 or 11 sacks. Could the Jets do that at one point? Maybe. You might be able to pick defense again at 16 if you acquire Brian Thomas, because I think the conventional thought is, for the Jets at defense at 2 and 16, or defense wide receiver, or defense Ty Simpson, or trade. Obviously you can trade up or down. But I think those are the 3 variables there. And if you get Brian Thomas, well, there's no guarantee that whomever you draft, it could be Tate, it could be any one of the 3 first-round grades, and he just might not be that good. At least that you got a guy who could already showed he could play in the NFL opposite Garrett Wilson, which then also so you strengthen the receiving core, and you also simultaneously give yourself a chance to do some other stuff and now really load up on the defense. So that's where I stand with that. All right. I know you didn't watch the WBC last night, did you?
No. Oh, wait. Lie. Yeah.
You
watched
did?
a little bit. Watched a little bit. Yeah. Not a ton. Couple, literally like probably 2-3 at bats. 3 or 4 at bats. Like it was.
So like 6 minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
So when I say a little bit, I really mean it.
Understood. I appreciate you being honest. Now, why even... what compelled you to even watch a little bit? Because did you seek it out or did you stumble on it?
I mean, it was just like going.
Because it was on FS1.
Yeah, exactly. Going through the YouTube TV after Celtics Spurs kind of deal.
I got you. Okay. Was there a fight in that game?
Celtics Spurs. Jaylen Brown got ejected 3 minutes into the second.
What was it about though? I was busy.
It was a ref thing, and like the contention behind it. Like I guess the kind of narrative behind the ejection is that he got ejected by the ref on the other side of the court who he wasn't even speaking to.
So why is this guy chiming in from 50 feet away?
Exactly.
When there's a ref right next to you who didn't call anything?
Yep. Gotcha. And so he got heated about that, like took to Twitter afterwards. But
all right. All right. Well, not a good night for Team USA last night.
No, not at all.
Not a good night. And really an unacceptably bad moment from Mark DeRosa, who I love, man. I am a big DeRosa guy. I've met him, 2 or 3 times, and he's just awesome. Love talking shop with him. I met him certainly twice at MLB Network when me and Sal did our show there. And he came on the show, and, I love watching him do his hitting demonstrations. I think he's great on air. Jersey guy, Bergen Catholic, stud. I am a fan. I like him personally, and I'm just a fan. But what he did yesterday was you can't have it happen. So at the press conference before the game, he said, I'd like to win. We'd like to beat Italy. We'd like to keep this going and stay undefeated. But even though we've already punched our ticket out of pool play, problem is they didn't punch their ticket out of pool play. And the other problem is that Nolan McLean, who I think is going to be phenomenal, got smacked around a little bit. I mean, they were squaring up balls on McLean left and right. And then, thank God, I say thank God, it's a little strong, but thankfully, Team USA scored some runs late with Gunnar Henderson, some other guys, because if they didn't, the run differential, it would have been more of an issue. So think about this. Bryce Harper didn't start. Goldschmidt played first base. Somebody else didn't start. It was Harper, and I know Schwarber played. I saw Witt, saw Judge. Bregman. Bregman didn't play. So Bregman and Harper did not start. That is your number 2 hitter and your, 4 hitter. Like, those 2 guys in the first 5 or 6 spots of the order, and you wanted to get him off his feet. I get that. They're veterans. All right, fine. But you didn't have anything wrapped up. So now they lose to Italy, which is a monumental win. I'm not going to go nuts about that because it's pool play, and I love baseball, but there's a randomness with baseball. Italy deserved to win last night. They really did. But you went into a game and you wrote out a lineup under one train of thought, which was wrong. How does that happen? How is there no checkpoint? And, these press conferences, I mean, I can only guess, that was probably 2-3 hours maybe before the game, if I had to take a guess. So you had plenty of time for somebody in PR or somebody on the Team USA staff to say, hey, Skip, you may have misspoke a little bit. I know what you said there at the press conference, but we don't have this thing wrapped up yet. So you got to do. You're the manager. You do what you want to do. But if you're resting guys because you think that we have this wrapped up, we don't. Now let's get this up. Let me tell you what has to happen here for Team USA to get. And I want them to advance. I want to see the United States, and I want to see Japan, and I want to see Dominican Republic, and I want to see Puerto Rico. Those are the 4 best teams. Now Mexico's good, but they're a cut below that. So, by the way, is that a sick graphic or what? That's a good one.
I like I like how they did the unleashed on it a lot.
Well, I told them to.
It's very true to the show's logo. So
I told them to do that. I told them. And thank God I checked, because the AI that I used, they had the wrong thing initially, and it looked good, but I'm like, let me just and I'm pretty good with my flags and geography, but the flags were wrong.
Oh,
like they had the wrong Italian flag, and they had the wrong. I'm like, oh, good thing I didn't use that.
Yeah.
I mean, I look like a dope enough now. I mean, with the Wi-Fi and cutting out and all this other stuff, I got the wrong flags up there. Well, thank God we don't have that. So we will advance if Italy's got to beat Mexico. I don't think that's going to happen. All right, Mexico's going to win. So if that happens, no matter what the score is, run differential, we're good. But I don't think that's going to happen. What I do think is going to happen, I think Mexico's going to win. And I do think there's more of a chance that Mexico will win going away than Mexico will win in a tight one, I think. So if it's a higher scoring game, Italy scores a bunch, Mexico scores either one of those two, 4+ for Italy or Mexico 5+, and Mexico wins, we're in. All right? But again, you don't control your own destiny here. We are out if they win a low-scoring game, which is somewhat plausible. Like if Mexico wins 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, 4-3, all within the realm of possibility. I wouldn't bet on that to happen, but it's certainly not implausible. It's not impossible. So if we get screwed out of this, I'm going to be really pissed. And Mark DeRosa is going to really look bad here. Like, man, he's interviewed for some jobs. There's a thought that, maybe sometime down the road, the Yankees gig, Mets gig, whatever, local guy. I think his baseball acumen is phenomenal. And I think his relatability, he's not young, not old, not young, but he projects youthfully. I think he'd be terrific in the clubhouse and can talk the game, be great with the media. He's fiery, Jersey kid, Jersey temperament, baller. But you just can't make that mistake. You can get that off the screen there, so everybody knows what's got to happen there. Thank you, J-Rod. Look at the little banner around the screen today too. Yes, what'd you cook up there, man?
Yeah, I didn't cook it up either. We got my AI assistant cooking up a little border here.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I did a little filling in on the corners there, so I'll give
I can
myself
see
a pat on the back there.
Yeah.
Looks good. No,
It does.
I think it looks good. Honestly, like when you first told me the border ID, I'm not gonna lie, like I was a little questioning, but
yeah.
Aesthetically, I think it comes together very cleanly. I think, the red and the black, I think it just enhances that aesthetic even more. So
that's what I'm saying. So when you say you were a little, worried or hesitant, what, you didn't know how to do it, or you didn't think it would look good? Because I reached out to J-Rod last night, as we always do, open dialogue. Hey, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got this Johnnies report, this, that. I said, do me a favor, cook up a little, border around the frame. I want to see how it looks. So you didn't think it would look good, or you didn't know how to do it?
No, so I guess my thought was just like, some channels, I really like the border. Some podcasts, I think, they really do a good job. It looks clean. Some, I think I'm a little more iffy on. I think the reason why it really works here is because we're kind of in these computer cameras, whereas like, I'm not always the hugest fan of the border on the podcast where they shoot it in studio.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting like that. But no, I mean, it was, it's pretty easy to cook up and, looks great, honestly.
It does. Let's get that full screen again. Let me see there. We got to do. Yeah, I need some of you guys to weigh in here in the comments. I mean, it's small, it's subtle. I think it gives it a little bit more pop. You guys like that? I mean, it does flow with the logo, the black and the red. It's on brand for Unleashed there. I think it looks pretty good. I'm digging it. But then again, that's me and that's J-Rod. Maybe you guys don't like it. Be honest, by the way. If you think it looks like shit, tell me or tell him. Tell J-Rod. Busy show
let
today,
me know.
J-Rod.
No,
Yeah,
big
let him
time
know.
busy, big
Let
time
him know.
busy show. The GENO SMITH stuff was great, obviously, and then the BAM
Man,
stuff.
I'm stiff today. Oh, yeah, for sure. I got to work out today. I don't feel like working out today.
Oh man. Yeah, I got to start getting back after it.
What do you do? Do you what do you do?
No, so last year I had like a great. I mean, honestly, it was when I was unemployed as hell, and I was just like, I was living at home. I cut together the Al and Jerry podcast, and that was that. Like,
Yep.
Like, so legit, it would just be like morning time. I get up, go to the gym. And I'm like, I would pretty much just do like, one day I do arms, one day I do legs, but mainly just machines, not really bench pressing or anything.
I got you.
That.
Yeah,
and then I moved to New York, completely fell off. Legit, like the only exercise I get, I walk outside. I ride a bike pretty often. I'll do 100 push-ups every now and then, but that's it.
So okay, so that's interesting. Now you didn't say like 20 push-ups. And I had a shoulder impingement that I mentioned. I think I said this on the show a while ago. And I thought it was, I thought I tore something. Thank God it went away and it's good. I started doing push-ups again. Just started doing that. It didn't hurt like with weights. It just hurt with the push-ups.
Sure.
When somebody says I'll do 100 push-ups every now and again, that's not a small amount. And I've done push-ups for 25 years. I can't drop down and do 100 straight.
Not straight, not 100
okay,
straight.
so how do you break them up?
I usually do 30, like break it up into 30 to 35.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you do like 3 sets of 30 or 35, like 30
Exactly.
rest, 30 rest, 30 rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the thing is like I had a really good streak last year where I was going like, okay, we do 100 one week, then we'll do 200 in a day the next week. And then, everything fell apart.
Yeah,
but
well,
I would really like to get back into it. And you know what? I'm saying it on air right now. So there we go. I'm getting back into it.
All right. I have to do it. Like I need it for my mind. Then obviously I want to look decent. Not that I look great, but I want to stay in good shape.
Yeah.
I still have that athletic mindset, even though I'm getting older or whatever. But I am the kind of person like without structure, I'm useless. I need structure. I notice like if even on and this part I wish wasn't. I think a lot of the time it's good. This particular aspect is not good. Even on vacation, sometimes I start getting restless. Like, all right, I got to get back to work. Like maybe it's because, and I'm talking about more like on the fan and like what I was doing, what I was doing every day for 25 years, 23 years. You almost feel like you're missing out. Like, and in our business, if you're gone for too long, like you've always got that mentality, like somebody's coming for your job.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to get back and protect it. So my mind would wander, but like, I just can't lay around and do nothing. I just can't. I almost like make myself busy. Very strange.
I think, I mean, there's obviously a big split in like, people who obviously like to go out and do stuff and people who just like kind of are sedentary at the home. But in my eyes, I don't see how you can't get out the house. That's the most important thing in life is stepping out that door. That's the first step for everything.
So you said, and we used to do the Unkillable pod together, but those who don't know, you also did the Al and Jerry pod. You're not still doing it, are you?
Yes, sir.
You are.
I mean, so I cut up, I do the thumbnails for them, and that's pretty much been my role the entire way through.
Have you ever met them?
Yes, dude. I don't know if you've ever seen this. I spoke to Boomer on air for like 10, 15 minutes.
What did Boomer berate you? What did he berate you about? Oh my
gosh. They were like talking to me about how like how I'll get the social media views at the fan up or something like that. And then Gio got me with the Dustin from Stranger Things. So it was like a little funny thing. It was pretty short.
Okay. But so you would say that you probably know Al and Jerry better than those guys, right?
Yeah.
Who do you got to answer? Who do you like better?
Al or Jerry?
Al or Jerry?
Oh my gosh. This is like you're putting me in a cruel position. I'm going, I got to go Al Dukes. I love the guy. Listen, I just
Why are you dissing Jerry?
Oh man. See, this is where I get caught. I love Al because I think he always comes through with like the humorous idea. And like, I love his Twitter personality. I think, I hate to say it, I feel like sometimes I relate to some of his to his role as like a producer in the sports world who maybe
Okay.
knows like 70% of things about sports rather than 100. Like I feel like I kind of
Wait, you think he knows? You think he knows what percentage?
I'd say like 70%.
No
Really?
more like 20%. He doesn't watch anything.
Man.
He doesn't watch sports.
Oh, at all?
No.
Oh, okay. So then maybe I'm even a little ahead then.
Maybe the Super Bowl or like a Yankee playoff game.
That's
I could
so
probably.
funny.
He's not watching Knicks. Knicks Heat on a Tuesday night. I could promise you that.
But yeah,
No.
I guess I think the guys are very funny. So I've enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, I know Jerry better, but then Jerry also did updates when me and Sal were on the air. Me and Tiki.
Yeah.
I've known Jerry for a long time. So so you just do the thumbnails for them.
Yeah, thumbnails, and then I'll throw up the title. But yeah, it's very simple, the stuff.
So what? Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why do I get more views than they do? That's not supposed to happen.
I mean, do I need to spell it out?
No, you don't have to. But I mean, they've got the WFAN vehicle.
Yeah, but you're BT.
What BT without a child? BT, the WFAN said, get out of here.
Yeah, but like, okay, here's my thing. Like I just
Jerry's
think
a star. Come on, Jerry's a star. I love Jerry. I do.
This is cold. No, my thing is like, dude, like their show, they talk about like, you're baiting, baiting hard right now. No, like I don't know, their show, they talk about literal dog poop on the New York City streets, like legit. They talk about like,
I know
what's going on with the, like.
No, it's a different. Yeah.
It's a different game. It's a different thing. Yes, they've got the WFAN channel, but it gets buried. Their stuff gets literally buried within like dozens of videos.
No, I know.
Like, and you're BT. I don't know what else to say. You're BT, bro. The content is great.
Thank you.
Enough said. As this guy said, he's not just BT, he's B fucking T.
Here we go, J-Rod.
There you go.
There you go. That is a moment of growth right there for the young buck. Look at him. Is that, first of all, not that I need you to, I know that's the first F-bomb. Is that the first curse?
I may have said like shit or like,
I thought you did,
but definitely the first F-bomb on air.
Look, just to hammer it home, B fucking
T.
Right?
Yeah, no, there's no, it's just because my parents will ask me, or like they've asked me, like, okay, like what shows are you most passionate about like doing and stuff like that, and there's not a question, it's not like it's this and then it's
that's
that.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Well,
of course.
Listen,
of course.
I made the right choice. I mean, when I tell you, and I remember mentioning this once on the air, to the point where I had to stop looking at him. And I don't mean like the day that the news came or the week. I mean, well, after a month, like, because I hadn't hired a producer yet. My DMs on Instagram, and I just had to stop reading them. And I really appreciate it. People were really trying to reach out and they wanted to get involved in the show. And I'm not trying to say, I'm Howard Stern. People were lined up around 7th Avenue to come work with me. Old Howard Stern, not current Howard Stern. But I'm not saying that at all. But it was pretty eye-opening. I'm like, wow, a lot of people want to jump into this. And I don't know. There was something about you. There was a steadiness that I thought would be good to offset my whole thing, whatever my whole thing. And then we had worked together. You were very good. You were very diligent, very responsible. I do like the Syracuse background and up and comer, so it was a natural fit. But I appreciate you saying that, man. You didn't have it, but man.
I mean, it's just this has been it. Like this has been to me, this is the almost like the launching point for my career, sort of deal. I had my little time in Odyssey where I'm getting the reins, learning the stuff. But for me, like the way I view this is it. You know what I'm saying? This is where we take off. So,
attaboy, J-Rod.
Let's get after it.
That is great to hear, man. Did anybody chime in on the border? Anybody?
We've got a few. All right. So we've got looks good. Here's the first one. Looks good.
Okay, it looks good.
One. Now here's one. Border not bad. Wasn't necessary.
Fair. Okay.
So it's good. It's good. Not needed.
Okay.
Here's the big one. I think it looks fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. I knew it would look good. I really did. Like I don't always know how to do it. But usually, I don't know. Like I think I'm a good writer. Like I've said, like that's how I really got through school. Like I would, get bad grades on quizzes and tests, and then when it was time to write, I would get an A because I was a good writer, and I enjoyed it. Right. So I'd balance it out and pretty much go home with a C or a C plus or a B minus, right? But I also have I think, a fairly creative eye.
Yeah.
But sometimes you imagine something in your own mind and then you actually see like, it looks awful. I think it pops. I don't think it's too much. Like it doesn't overwhelm the screen. So I think we keep it for a little bit. I really do. I think we roll with it.
I say we roll with it. See if maybe down the line we can think of anything a little better. But for now, let's keep it.
All right. So we got Geno. We got a little Brian Thomas.
I guess
there.
Maxx Crosby would be the only other thing. Maybe.
Yeah. It's funny. I had that written down too. That's interesting. Now, I mean, you guys know what happened, so I don't need to reset that. Where it becomes interesting for all these teams around the NFL, and if you missed it, Trey Hendrickson got a 4-year deal with the Ravens. Immediate pivot. So he goes from being on Joe Burrow's team to going trying to crush Joe Burrow. Good move, very quick. That's why the Ravens are the Ravens. And that's why the Ravens are always keeping their head above water. I know they haven't won a championship in a long time. I get it. I know that they've got a new coach. I get it. But like that is a well-run, forward-thinking, incredibly functional, winning franchise because they had a plan. It was aggressive. They gave up 2 first-round picks to get Maxx Crosby. They thought they were getting their all-pro. They had him. They do the physical. Their doctors fail them. Back to the Raiders. All right. It's not like, what do we do now? Bang, Hendrickson, got him. And really, you can make the case, even though obviously Maxx Crosby is better than Hendrickson. I mean, Crosby's just different. But, if the production – if it's about within 75%, like if Hendrickson, even if he could give you 70%, I'm of the mindset, excuse me, it's probably better long-term growth and asset retention to sign somebody like Hendrickson rather than giving up 2 first-round picks and paying Crosby. Like if you're getting similar. Now, if Crosby were to come out and get 17 sacks and Hendrickson gets 5.5, well, it's a little different. I don't think that there's that quite that big of a disparity. So that's the Ravens' perspective. Where it gets interesting, though, and this is where any team can jump in. The Giants could jump in. The Jets could. I mean, literally any team in the NFL. Now the Raiders, because they thought that Crosby was off their books, they have committed to other contracts, all right? And at 4 p.m. today, these contracts become official. So you can renege, which obviously the Ravens did based on the medicals, and pivot. But the problem for the Raiders, I mean, not the problem, but something that they're going to still have to trade Maxx Crosby somewhere because they've committed a fairly exorbitant amount of money around their roster to new players. Now they could, I guess they could tell the new players like the Ravens, told them, now we're good. So I know we agreed to 3 years, $70 million, 36 guaranteed. I'm just throwing numbers out. But because Crosby is back, you go somewhere else. I mean, they could do that. It's probably bad for business, but you could. I think what happens now, especially since Hendrickson is off the market, there's really just a shortage of game-changing edge rushers that you could go and get. Maxx Crosby's one of them. And now and really the only one certainly at that level, now because the Raiders are in a pinch, well, now maybe somebody else could get Maxx Crosby who's a stud on 80 cents on the dollar because the Raiders just have to find a trading partner who's willing to take Maxx Crosby. Now, he's going to have a lot of suitors, but if I am a general manager, the first thing cutting deals is all about being proactive, like, the Jets with Sauce and doing stuff like that. The Colts were really good, and this is before they lost basically every game to finish up. They're thinking they can mess around and win a Super Bowl, and Muji's like, well, we're not going to win anytime soon. Let me get rid of him. Let me get rid of Q. Let me get all these first-round picks. That's being proactive, and that's reacting to the moment, right? Very smartly, very proactively, very aggressively, right? Very intelligently. Well, now, if I'm a GM, I'm going to be opportunistic, and I'm going to call up the Raiders, and I know I got them by the short ones. I'm going to say, hey, dude, listen, ain't my problem. They got reneged. I know you still got to trade him because you brought this guy in, that guy in, this guy, and that guy, and your books are all cooked. So I'll give you 1 first-round pick and a 3rd-round pick, or a 2nd-round pick, or whatever it might be that is short of a 2 first-round pick package for Maxx Crosby. So that's what I think is going to happen. Now, you want to tell me that there's a chance that the Raiders stand firm and that they restructure and they whatever they do magically with the numbers, which every NFL team could do. It's funny. You'll see these like predicted cap space and effective cap space. And we did the effective cap space the other day. If you guys want to get into it, it's on the channel. But there are teams like minus $11 million in cap space. And then they magically rework 7 deals and they've got a surplus of $25 million. That's why the numbers are so fungible. I can't stand the math of NFL contracts as an aside. But it's going to be very interesting to see who pounces on this very vulnerable situation for the Raiders. It really, really does. Now, I tweeted yesterday. I'm like, get cooking, Muji. Now, it's maybe a little prisoner of the moment. Truth of the matter is it doesn't fit the Jets' timeline. Certainly, you're not giving up 2 first-round picks. That makes no sense because you got to get your quarterback at some point. But, like, if it's a really diminished deal, and I said 70 or 80 cents on the dollar, I don't know. What if it gets to 60 cents on the dollar? Because a lot of these teams have already done their heavy lifting contractually in terms of free agency. And now they could be made official. So you might have other teams, forget about the Raiders, you might have other teams that did stuff that might now say, all right, we're going to get out of this deal because we can now go get Maxx Crosby. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. Usually I have a prediction. I don't really feel compelled to make one except saying that I don't think he's going to be back. I know he's back literally with the Raiders now, like back with them. I don't think he's going to play for them this year. And it just takes one smart, forward-thinking GM to jump in while they're vulnerable. Get yourself a steal. Go make yourself a deal. Why not? Maybe the Giants trade. I mean, I know they don't love Kayvon. Trade Kayvon, get Maxx Crosby, and do something like that. I don't know. Somebody's going to do something. Watch, the Niners will get him, like some really well-run team. Buffalo will get him. The teams that are always, the Ravens tried to. The Steelers will get him, right? I could probably tell you who won't get him. The Cardinals, the Jets, the Browns, Oh, my God. Any text worth reading before I bounce here? It's been a good, healthy, just about a 2-hour show there, J-Rod.
Let's see.
Anything jumping out there, brother?
I'm not seeing. I mean, I'm just seeing a lot of people hyped about that B, F, and T, honestly.
Yeah, they loved it.
I'm seeing J-Rod strive to be a producer like Dove.
No, Dove. Oh,
Dove. Oh, my God.
It's okay. It's okay. I know you know that.
Dove.
I miss
Kramer.
Dove. Yeah. What a sweetheart, man. What a gentleman. Dove was great. Like,
I got to get in the Temple some more for that too, man.
You
Straight
do.
Up.
Don't let Dove know that you're skipping out on Temple. I mean,
man.
He'll light you up. Dove is one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever met. He really is a good man. Now, I'll also say he was very frustrating at times to work with. Don't take this the wrong way. Somebody's going to clip this and they're going to think I'm clowning on Dove. I'm not. I really love the guy, and he's a lifer, and he's a great person. Right? But, like, sometimes he was so literal with the rate. Like me and Sal, we tell him to do something, or me, Tiki never told. I would tell him, like, hey, have this ready, or I'd open up his mic and I'd hope like, and then I'm like, it's not his thing. Like for a witty response, like, Evan and Tiki could say, all right, Marash, say something, or Tommy, say something back in the day, or even Al or Schizzeri with the morning show. Sure. Basically every show but ours, and we had Hop who could do that too. But with Dove, like, the show would come to a screeching halt. His timing, his comedic timing was not good. But everything else about that man is a genuinely phenomenal, fantastic human being. I was thinking about, I don't know. Like, I know that there's a good amount of hits with LaGreca. Kay did very well in terms of, Instagram and obviously YouTube and all the other stuff. And Stephen A is going to explode. And when we get A-Rod on and Boone on, Patino was pretty good numbers as well. I don't know. You think it would be worth having like somebody like Mink on for a little bit to talk about the history of the station?
I think that would be awesome.
You think so?
I think it'd be super cool. Yeah,
but he's not a great storyteller.
Sure. Okay.
He's not.
See,
he's a little bit like Dove in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, that might make it a little tough. And this just might be me. I think I'm a little bit different from, your direct audience. Like, I always find it interesting, like these conversations where they really get into the weeds about like the industry stuff and like kind of go behind the scenes. I always find that interesting just because it kind of, shows the process of like how the shows you watch, get put together. But I'm not sure if other people are so.
I think people love that. I think if you look at anything, that's why like the rating, like the radio wars, when there was ratings battles, like anytime Raceman would write something or anytime Marchand would weigh in with ratings news, the Michael K show, Mike Francesa, any show. I mean, really, if you think about it, like for a long time, that was really, really good content because people crave that. I actually think that they really would value some of those old stories,
Well, here
especially
you
the
go.
older fans. What's that? Yeah.
He said, anyone that you can bring on the show to talk about the history of the fan, I feel the fans of this channel would certainly appreciate.
I agree with that. Yeah, I do agree with that. And I know somebody asked me, what about Mike Francesa? I was texting with Mike the other day about something. Yeah, any interest in having Francesa on Avery? Absolute interest. And I'm going to. It's funny. I saw Mike. What night was that? May have been the Villanova game. He was at the game with the Sun, St. John's at the Garden. I know he's been to a few games this year. Maybe 3 weeks ago, something like that. Maybe it was right after the UConn beat down. Then St. John's won by 30, whatever it was. And I saw Mike on the court before the game. And Mike's a tough nut to crack on occasion.
Sure.
On occasion, but I've got not overselling this here. We don't talk on the phone, the occasional text here, but I do have at least a decent relationship with Mike, even though we had that blow up back in the day. Anyway, so I see him, and I had met his son one other time. Good young man, playing college football.
Nice.
And we were talking, shooting the shit. And I said, hey, Mike, I said, I know you're not a big podcast guy. Would you come on my new podcast? And I already knew, so I beat him to the punch. I said, not to talk about the new shows or Carton. I know their relationship, even though Craig said he would have lunch with him. I guess I saw that the other day. And he would break bread after that frosty relationship. You see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
I just wanted to beat him to the punch, like not about me and Sal getting bounced, just about, the Yankees and the Giants and the draft and, early you and dog and stuff. He's like, I would do that. So Mike actually said he would come on. I'll get him on. Yeah.
I watched a 2-hour compilation, or maybe not that long, but it was like an hour compilation of just like his funniest moments yesterday.
You did?
Was rolling, dude.
What was the funniest one to you?
Oh my gosh. Like there's this one, this one was just wild. This one dude called and he was like, is there a possibility that an MLB team could go 162-0? And then Mike just starts going, he was like, yeah, kid, don't you remember when the Bulls went 81-1 back in 96? And then the kid was like, yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that. And then Mike was like, yeah, all right, have a good one.
See, that's funny because that is something like I could see myself doing. Mike usually doesn't present it that way. Usually when somebody calls with something dopey, Mike, you'll get the hand wave from Mike.
You'll get the, what do you do for a living? Hey, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, like he'll just basically, he won't play along. Like that's something like me and Sal would have done or I would do on my own. Or, most people, but Mike usually just has no time for that stupidity or that wackiness. He's just going to kind of cut you off and, as I said, give you the hand wave. I'm surprised he actually did that. No, there was a lot. I mean, the time somebody called up and said, hey, Mike, do you think that the New York football Giants and the San Francisco Giants meet up for lunch when the Giants are in town to play the Yankees or the Mets? Like, oh my God. Listen, people, there's a lot of stuff out there about Mike, where you can clown him for a couple things. Did he nod off? Did he fall asleep on the air that one time? Yeah, he fell asleep. His eyes shut for a second or somebody.
I saw K going off. Oh my gosh, I saw that clip yesterday too.
Yeah,
the Michael K one, that was nuts.
Yep. But here's the thing: when you're on air for that long, for 20-something years, and then you enter the digital world and you're simulcast on Yes as he was all those years, you're gonna have a moment or two like where it's like, all right, man, something went wrong. So whatever. I mean, Mike's far from perfect. I can promise you that, but. I mean, we've all had moments on the air where it's like, geez, why did that happen? Or why did I do that? Or what the fuck happened? How did I mess that up? All right. So I guess you guys would want to hear a little bit about that. Like, I guess, why I've hesitated. I'm going to let you go here. What I don't want this content to be about is me just waxing about WFAN because quite frankly, I just don't care that much anymore. I don't care. Why should I care that much about them when they didn't care enough to keep me? I'm just keeping it real. Like, why? Like, I'm not going to do a channel on, the history of WFAN over and over. I have no interest in doing that. Now, I grew up loving WFAN, and even though I just said what I said, I still respect the company. They made a decision. As I've said many times, I absolutely think it was the wrong one. I think they got rid of the wrong show, whatever. I don't own the company, so I don't control that. I can only react to what they did. And here we are reacting to what they did, and we'll become bigger than we ever were. But I think that for me, it's not very appealing to always go back to, and I was only there a couple of years, but I mean, just the history I got other things to do. But I do think, in selected spots there, it will be, of course, I'm going to get Sal back up soon. That's different because we were partners. I'd love to get Mike on for at least once there. Maybe we will do the Minko. Maybe we will do the Minko angle because I could tie in with Mink, St. John's, the NCAA tournament. Maybe I'll do something like that with Mink, but I'm not going to relive the past. There's a line. Jay, I don't know if you remember this line. I don't know if it's verbatim, but there's a line where Tony says in The Sopranos, like the smallest form of human communication begins
He's reminiscing. I remember.
Remember? Yeah, remember when.
Oh, okay. There we go.
And what he means by that, it's pretty basic, but if you don't really know what he means, what he's saying is if all you do is sit around and say, oh, remember when, like if you always have to rely on remember when, you're probably not creating very interesting stuff now. That's exactly my mindset.
No, I mean, that's the truth about life. That's the truth about obviously not only content creation, but like the man Tony said, just conversation in general. Like, the reminiscing, obviously can get you a little nostalgic, but it doesn't get you anywhere progressive.
Correct. 100%. Now that's going to happen. Susan will absolutely come on. Love Susan. She joined Sam and I quite a bit. We had her on a lot on the fan. So she is awesome. Yep. She's on my list. I've actually, on one of my notes, I came up with like 67 names. I was just literally going through my phone, Jay, on Sunday, sitting in here doing some stuff, getting ready. And I went from A to Z and I just wrote down every name. Now, there was already like 15 names already on the list, but just wrote down, that could be interesting. Yep, still have his number. Got her number. Like, that's good. Oh, the other one, I'm going to have Nikki Lattarulo. You know Nikki from SNY? Nikki Lattarulo?
Let me look up a picture real quick.
Yeah, you'll know. If you see her, you'll know her. She does a lot of stuff for SNY. She's done a lot of stuff on the St. John's beat. That's basically turned into one of her beats. So she's been at a lot of St. John's games.
Yeah, of course.
You know Nikki.
Yeah.
Always interviews Rick on the, in the bowels of the garden. And she did travel up to Providence last year for the NCAA tournament. And she's going to travel this year, too. So I see her a lot, but I said, hey, would you come on the show? She's like, absolutely. She's she's one of the few, like she's young. I think I don't want to give out a woman's age, but I know that she's fairly young. Certainly everybody's young compared to me at this point in the industry, most people. But she's definitely younger than 30, put it that way. And she's one of those young St. John's fans. Like she loves St. John's.
That's awesome.
From the time, like she posts pictures of like when she's 2 years old holding like a St. John's basketball. Yeah. So I think it would be pretty fun. Plus she's very good at her job and she's younger and she's cool and she's one of the new broadcasters. So she's definitely going to come on. But the point is I've got a full page of everybody that I want. So as you could tell, the guests becoming more prominent. Kay was money. LaGreca was great. If you guys just tuned in, communicated with Stephen A yesterday, he's going to come on. In all probability, next week, he's got a little medical procedure. As long as he's okay, we'll lock it in next week. I've got to work it around my St. John's travel. We'll get Mink up for the tournament. We'll get Sal back on. We got the BT and Sal show coming up. And I checked the tickets. There's definitely still some left. Decent amount have been sold. It's in Wantagh. It is at Mulcahy's, which is a great venue. Francesa used to do his NFL Sunday show there a lot. It's in Wantagh, Long Island, and it's going to be April 2nd. It's me, it's Sal, and it's our buddy Carl Banks. So Carl's going to be up there, and it's a sick venue. When I used to go there, it was just a cool bar. Now it's like, look at J-Rod. Look
yeah.
Look at him. Didn't even have to tell you. Didn't even think you were going to do that. You know what, J-Rod? Keep that up. You've earned some stripes here today. You know why? Number one, you dropped the F-bomb. Not that I needed you to do that, but it showed some heart. It showed me that you're a foxhole kind of guy. And then as we got into, the Al and the Jerry stuff and some of the other stuff that you've done, you were very quick and very clear to communicate that there is me and there is everybody else. So I now know, and even though I kind of knew this and I felt this before today, that you can get that down now, that you communicated this to the world so aggressively and so clearly.
I know. None of my other hosts better watch this episode.
Yeah. You are a foxhole type. Slap a stripe on the sleeve. That is a good job out of you, brother.
Big time.
Thank you. Out of you.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Nice job, dude. All right, let me bounce. I think I might go get a car wash today. Yeah. I have maybe I'm not ready to go yet. I think one of the great deals, I'm a fanatic with my car. I really am. And I just like a clean car. There's just something about getting into an SUV, any car. I've got an SUV that's just spotless. It just shines and the leather's nice and it smells good. It's so hard, like with all the baseball equipment. It's not a complaint. I love it, but it's everywhere, dude. You know, you have a yogurt going to practice. You have a piece of fruit, banana, it's half eaten. You got the peel in the back seat. You got this bat that you outgrew that's now in the back seat. That's here. You were going from basketball to baseball, so now your basketball shorts are there. As you put on your baseball, your cup and your pants. And it looks like a little Modell's or a little Dick's Sporting Goods store. So I've got to clean it up, right? So I think I'm going to go do that now. But I'll tell you what, one of the best deals. Jay, pop in for a sec. I pay because like car washes aren't cheap anymore. When I used to go to get a car wash, my dad would give me, this was in college, $20, a long time ago. And I was going out to Long Island and I was going to spend the night, right? And I would gas up at a Mobile with my little Honda Civic, which was brand new, but I had $10 of gas. I get a tin of Skoal long cut wintergreen. I get a bottle of water. And I'd have like $3-4 left over for a slice of pizza. Now, I mean, that sounds like the 1950s, but it actually, you could do that. Now a car wash, you got to get the lava. You got 9,000 different variations. You got the presidential suite. Just wash the car, will you? Right? And what I can't stand is when they wash the outside and they don't do anything to the inside. I can wash the outside. I need the inside done. Mm-hmm. So what I do is, and I don't know if you've seen this. I don't know if you're a car wash guy. I'm not snobby about much. I'm a weather snob. I always know what the weather's going to be. And I'm a car wash snob. And I'm a baseball gear and a content snob. That's about it, right?
Sure.
And I have this deal, and I've done this for a long time, where I pay, I think it's like $70 a month, and it comes right out of my checking, like right out of the boom, right out. I could literally go and get the car washed every single day if I want.
My dad's got the same exact thing.
Your dad's smart.
Yep. Same exact
He knows the deal.
Go in whenever, any day. And he'll go in pretty often, once a week, whatever. Just get it cleaned up, get the whole thing done. And it's like, what a deal.
Yeah, well, it's fun. I'm like my dad in this regard. When I was younger, now we didn't have a brand new car when I was my kid's age now, but my dad was always an early riser, and he'd get up on Saturdays and he would go to and I would go with him, and I loved it. My sister would sleep, right? But it was, dad and son going around because then we'd go to practice, right? We'd go to the cleaners. He'd go and get the newspapers, and then we'd go to the diner. Sometimes we'd go to the diner after practice, and we get the car wash. And I don't know. It's like it's one of these small things in life that is incredibly gratifying. Yeah. Especially, you know what I mean? And I like to do that because a lot of times, like not this week coming up, but the following week, I'm going to be down in Jackson, New Jersey, which is Great Adventure, if you know the area.
Yeah.
For my son for his first club tournament. And it's about an hour and 15-minute ride, but it's early enough and it's all good. It's a great facility, great competition. Awesome, right? But I'll get up early and, I'll say, all right, Daddy's going to get the car washed. I'll get you Gatorade. The food's out, the uniform's out. And I'll sometimes go and get a car wash. So, if I have a long ride in front of me, it's just a sense of calm when things are sparkling and I got the music and I like that way.
I like that. Good way to treat yourself. I feel like a small way to just make your day a little better.
That's what I'm saying. It's all about a little incremental joy there. And really, it makes economic sense because now if you don't use it, like sometimes, like if we go away, say if we're away at the beach for a week in the summer or we're in Texas with the in-laws, whatever it might be, maybe I only use it twice that month. Then maybe you could say, well, the value is not great. But, generally, I would say 9 months of the year, maybe even 10, I will get at least 3, at least 4, well, at least once a week. So it's always shiny. So I'm going to go do that now. I've got some other stuff to do. I'm going to speak to Verizon tomorrow. So I'm going to have to cut short a little tomorrow.
Sure.
No, I think we have to leave around 12. No, it actually probably be a full show. Probably be a full show tomorrow. So that's all I got. Anything before we roll?
I got nothing. Keep the likes up. Hype the video up. Give us some more hypes.
Yeah.
We don't like to on this one.
Yeah, I don't like to beg, but sometimes you got to beg. Yeah, listen, I'm not above begging. I mean, I'm going to get a little preachy now. You guys got to do a better job with the likes and the shares. You just got to do a better job.
Big time.
I mean, I'm giving you my heart, and so I'm coming correct every day. Yeah. It's not like I'm on for 9 minutes and then I'm on for. I'm here at 10 o'clock every day. This is the show. Not to mention some other stuff like the Mets and the Yankees lineup and the Big E stuff and the guests and stuff. I'm here every day for you. All right. You guys got to carry the mail a little bit better. Like the numbers are good. We're going to clip 1 million total views this week, which I can't wait. That's going to be a real honor. And it's going to be, in years from now, it's going to be a very humble checkpoint. But right now, that's a big thing. But you got to do more. You got to let people, you got to like it. You got to subscribe. You got to share it, J-Rod. Let's go. Do your
Big
job.
time. Yeah. Just
As
get the
Belichick
likes.
would say, do your job.
Mm-hmm. Or as Nike would say, just do it. Just hit that like. Just hit that like. The sub is so easy.
That's basic stuff. If you're not subbing, then
that's
not,
what I mean. That's
you're not behind me if you're not subbing. You're not with us if you're not subbing. Yeah, I mean, you're either subbing or you're against us is really how it's what it is.
But yeah, also for next show, I'm definitely gonna overnight. I'm gonna look into those polls. I think that'd be like super fun little thing to do in the middle of the episode. So let's look into it and let's have a great episode tomorrow.
I love it, dude. Attaboy, J-Rod. Good work today. I'm gonna send that stripe over by FedEx. Put that on the arm. A little stripage there for my guy J-Rod. All right, guys, I got to roll. Have a fantastic Wednesday. Big East tournament underway. Johnny's playing tomorrow, obviously. Winner of Providence Butler. No bigger stage than the Garden. I love it. It is awesome. Selection Sunday coming. If you wanted to get some St. John's content, go find the Patino spot. He was on 2 days ago. Money had him on about 45 minutes. Had Donnie on, Don LaGreca yesterday. Kay from last week. Stephen A. next week. Like it, subscribe, all that good stuff. So you guys know where I'm coming from. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Back tomorrow at 10. See you then. Have a great day. Peace.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney.